So, you want to be happy? Well, let me tell you for one that I have not always been a happy girl, okay? I used to be the most miserable, unfulfilled, negative, moody, cynical, and irritable person that you've ever met in your entire life. I was so negative and cynical that I thought that the entire world was out to get me constantly, and I thought that everybody had really bad intentions. I was a girl who was constantly trying to escape my reality by either daydreaming or overindulging in the pleasures of life, such as food and social media. So if you feel like you can relate to any of the things that I've just said, and that sounds pretty much like your current life now, then you're gonna wanna get a hot drink, get comfortable, and let's have a chat about this, because I want you guys to feel this same feeling that I have now. I want you guys to be the happiest and most fulfilled versions of yourself, and I do not want you to be stuck in the same place that I was stuck in, and I know that a lot of people are stuck in. So let's get straight in. Here are the most important lessons that I've learned along my healing journey in relation to happiness and fulfillment. And these lessons that I'm going to share with you are going to truly enable you to step into the happiest and most fulfilled version of yourself, because you deserve that. I don't want any of my community and any of my subscribers to be feeling in a low vibe, miserable place. That is just not where we are going, okay? There is so much more to life, and you deserve a lot more. I'm also going to leave the most important tip to last, because it is very important that you listen to all of these lessons. Each of them are essentially equally as important, but I feel like the last one is just, it's definitely something that completely changed my mindset and my perspective on happiness and life. Stop seeking happiness from external things. This was such an important lesson that I had to learn, because I, for the longest time, thought that if I reached all the milestones that I wanted to reach in life, if I got all the material things that I wanted, if I could travel to X, Y, and Z location, I would be finally in a place where I'm happy and I can just kick back, put my feet up, and relax and bask in the happiness of it. What I didn't realize is that happiness actually isn't the end goal. So when I tell you that when I reached all of these milestones and I got all of the material things that I was manifesting, I got the relationship of my dreams, I got to travel to the places that I've wanted to travel to for the longest time, I had so many of the material and external things that I was calling in, and I truly manifested them into my life. But I was truly humbled when those things didn't alter the way that I felt inside. Now, you'll probably hear that from everyone, but I feel like that was a very important tip for me to include in this video, because I think we sometimes just need the reminder that if we are chasing these external things and these material things in our life, we can't expect those things to sort out what's going on the inside, which I kind of knew, but I kind of low-key thought that, oh, well, money does buy happiness a little bit. Like, if I have the things, I will be happy on some level. And what actually happens when you get to that point where you've got all the material things that you wanted, or a lot of the material things that you wanted, you kind of reach a point where you get a little bit desensitized to these things. So you're just craving more and more and more, and you're never satisfied. These external things only bring you a fleeting moment of happiness. I used to do so much online shopping, and I would spend so much money on clothes that I thought was going to make me feel really happy. But all that really happened was me just piling up bags and bags and bags of Pretty Little Thing clothes, and I would never wear them. They would just clutter my bedroom. Yes, the odd piece might make me feel a little bit good and a little bit confident, but on the whole, those things didn't give me the happiness that I was truly craving. It was essentially just like a plaster to what was going on. I think because I was such an unhappy child, an unhappy teenager, I was basically unhappy for most of my life. I just thought that, well, I can control external material things. I can get a job, I can work. I don't really need to do any inner work. I can just get these things and then I'll be happy. And can I just add that this happened when I got all the things that I was manifesting, when everything came into my life. I did logically know that these things were amazing. It was amazing to be in Paris. It was amazing to be in Sorrento and the Amalfi Coast and Positano. It was amazing traveling in Thailand. It was amazing having my dream relationship. It was so good having all of these things, and I knew that logically, but there was just something inside me that felt so empty and felt so numb, and I couldn't truly be present in the moment. I'm not gonna lie. I remember looking at the, you know, the beautiful setting in Positano, like the beautiful beautiful houses and everything. And I remember being like, oh yeah, logically knowing that this is an amazing moment of my life and I really need to treasure this moment. But low-key, I really felt quite miserable and I felt empty. I felt like there was something missing. I think a lot of people have that moment where they reach that point, they're in that place where they felt would make them so happy and cure all their problems, but then they actually realize, oh shit, that's actually not doing anything for me, and there's probably some deeper work that I had to do. So that holiday was definitely a turning point for me because I was so frustrated at myself at the fact that I didn't feel fully present. I was telling myself that I was grateful, but I didn't feel grateful for these amazing things around me. And I think it was just because I got so desensitized to all of these amazing things happening in my life that I was just constantly wanting more. So if you are wanting to live a happy and fulfilled life and you're not feeling that right now, I can guarantee you that the external things and the material things that are on your wish list and your manifestation list to happen, they'll feel good. I'm not going to say they're not going to feel good. They will feel good, but that is not a feeling that is sustainable, and that is not a feeling that's going to last. And you're going to get back from that holiday and the depression will hit, the holiday blues will hit, and you'll be questioning your entire existence. Take it from me. Second lesson, the more you chase happiness, the more it's going to run away from you. Think of it like your dating life. If you are dating somebody and you are constantly hitting up their phone, constantly texting them like, what are you doing, where you at, when are you going to come see me next, you're giving off desperate energy, and that person is probably going to run a mile. They're going to be so scared at how forward you're being, and they won't want any involvement with what you've got going on. Maybe there's the odd case where that doesn't happen, but let's just go with the majority of people and how the majority of people feel. So it's the same with many things in life, and especially the same with happiness. If you are constantly chasing happiness and you are dependent on happiness for you to be able to function properly and live your life or even get anything done, you're going to be so miserable and you're going to feel so stuck because you're so desperate for the happiness that the happiness is like, whoa, because you're giving off desperate energy, and that is never good. Equally, in the same sense, if you are completely ignoring your problems and running away from them, not wanting to deal with them, they are just going to come creeping back in and pounce on you when you least expect it, and then you're going to be left to pick up the pieces, and that is not a nice place where you want to be. I had to learn that I needed to stop putting so much pressure on myself to be happy in order for me to feel like I have a good life. Just because you're having a bad day, that does not mean that you are having a bad life. You are allowed to feel the whole spectrum of emotions. You are a human being, and it is completely normal to not feel happiness constantly, and realizing that happiness isn't just a constant state. I truly learned that a lot of my happiness came from putting so much pressure on myself to always be positive and always try and be happy and show up as the best version of myself, blah, 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 blah. Because everyone in my life really did preach that whole toxic positivity movement, and I feel like a lot of people in my life still kind of do that now. I see it in other people. They don't address any of their problems or any of their shit that they've got going on, and they just put a mask on and try to be really positive all the time, and I find that quite draining. And before I got to know myself and got to know that all emotions are okay and it is absolutely fine to not feel happy and to not be feeling particularly positive, I thought I was crazy. I thought that I was such a miserable person. I thought that I was an outlier. I remember when I was a child, I was referred to as moaning Myrtle because I used to moan about everything and complain all the time because I just felt like everyone was crazy. I honestly felt so confused at why I was the only one who seemed to have any kind of emotions and everyone else was out here being all positive and happy, when I know that's not the case. And granted, as an adult, you do have to show up in the world not being an energy drainer and not being negative and miserable, because nobody likes that kind of person either. But I think it's fine to accept that sometimes you're just not going to be happy and you're not going to be in the best mood ever. You're not going to be showing up as your most authentic self. That is completely fine. Like, as long as you're still being polite to people and knowing your boundaries and knowing when you need to actually say no to a plan, rather than stretching yourself and doing all these plans when you know that you're not happy and you know that you're not in a good place, but just in the name of trying to fit in with everyone and trying to be positive like everyone else is. You don't need to do that. Knowing yourself and knowing your boundaries and what you have the capacity to deal with with on a specific day is so important. So yeah, the more you chase happiness, the more it's gonna run away, and the more that you put pressure on yourself to be happy and to be positive, the more you're probably gonna feel a little bit conflicted within yourself, because if you're not feeling like that on the inside, it's better to go within and address, okay, why am I not feeling happy, rather than just putting a plaster on or a mask on of being this really happy, cheerful person. Sometimes we just need to be on our own and have a little bit of time for introspection for us to really feel happy and fulfilled. That was a really long and roundabout way of me saying that point. Pain over pleasure. I used to think that people were so batshit crazy for voluntarily going to the gym and doing these horrible, torturous HIIT workouts just because they wanted to. I genuinely did not understand these people. I didn't understand the people who went out for runs. I didn't understand the people who were doing these workouts or doing cold showers or anything like that. I did not get it, and I thought that these people were insane. But this is something that I've actually realized pretty recently is a huge component of why we actually feel quite unhappy the majority of the time. And the reason for that is that a lot of us actually put pleasure over pain, which seems obvious, but that is not what we are designed to do as human beings. We are built to feel a moderate level of pain in our life, just on a day-to-day basis. We shouldn't be in this constant state of pleasure, which is so easy for us to be in this day and age. It's so easy for us to pick up our phone and go on TikTok and get that instant dopamine boost in the morning or throughout the day. It's so easy to go to the corner shop and buy loads of chocolate and loads of junk food to give you that instant feeling of pleasure. So with all these temptations, it's quite evident why we all go for pleasure over pain. Like, why would we choose pain over pleasure? But what I've actually learned from my own life, and also from listening to podcasts and things like that, is that if we are on a daily basis constantly choosing all of this pleasure, all of the instant gratification over everything, we just want to feel happy all the time. And a lot of the time we find this happiness through external things like we've spoken about. But if we are constantly up here with scrolling on social media and overindulging, our body naturally wants to get back to a balanced level of homeostasis. It wants us to just be balanced. That's how our bodies are designed in a roundabout way. I'm not a scientist, but this is what I have gathered from what I have learned. Obviously do your own research. But our bodies want to return back to homeostasis. So if you're all the way up here with all of this pleasure, in order for you to become balanced again, there is going to be an equal and opposite reaction to that pleasure, and it's going to come down in a crash. So for example, when we eat sugar, we have a sugar crash afterwards and we feel really irritable, we can feel hungry, we can feel a little bit nauseous, etc. So if we're constantly living in this place of pleasure all the time, what's going to happen is that our baseline is going to become so much lower because we're having so many crashes constantly. Our body is so up and down that our baseline is going to get lower and lower and lower, and we're just going to feel even more miserable as the days go on. That is essentially how addictions work, because you're going to need to consume so much more pleasure in order to just be at this low baseline. Like, you're not actually going to be feeling the benefits of the pleasure anymore because you're so desensitized to it. So to flip that around, when we're doing painful things in a healthy way, so we're taking cold showers, we are doing HIIT workouts, we're doing things that we don't want to do. When we're doing that, because our body wants to return us back to that balance again, it is naturally going to put us back into that pleasure feeling, that natural dopamine feeling. You're going to notice that you find so much more joy in the small things in life rather than just being constantly underwhelmed by everything. And going back to the last point, I genuinely think that the reason that I was feeling a little bit empty when I went to the Amalfi Coast is probably because I was so used to seeing the world on my phone screen. I had seen it all already, so I was kind of low-key a little bit desensitized to it and a little bit not underwhelmed, but I have definitely felt that before in my life, where I've kind of felt underwhelmed by something because I was just used to feeling such immense pleasure on a daily basis from my escapism habits, if you wish. So in summary, there is a reason why people do these painful things at the gym and doing the cold showers, etc., because it's so much better to kind of get your body used to that level of pain so that things feel happier. I've probably not explained that very well, but I hope you kind of get what I mean. What's that quote where it says like, the harder your life is now, the easier it will be in the future, but then the easier your life is now, the harder it will be in the future. It's kind of like that. Like, if you are choosing pleasure all the time, you are essentially softening yourself to the world. But if you're choosing pain occasionally, maybe just the odd cold shower or just doing things in your day that are out of your comfort zone and things that you don't want to do, you're building that resilience and you're thickening your skin to the inevitable ups and downs of life. We can't control the ups and downs of life, but we can prepare ourselves and make ourselves stronger. Overstimulation is a silent killer. I have been on many social media detoxes over the years, and I've found every single time that when I'm off social media, I feel so much more clarity. I feel so much more at peace, so much happier, so much more fulfilled, because I am not constantly taking in all of this information about literally everything, every single topic that piques my interest. I was taking in information on it. When I'm off social media, I'm not doing that, and it really frees up my mind and allows me the space to actually think and tap into my creativity and tap into solutions to problems and my imagination. It is so easy to be overstimulated in this day and age. We don't necessarily realize it in the moment, and I know for me, I didn't actually realize the fact that I was so overstimulated because I was so used to just feeling so hyped up and scatty all the time. Like, you know, when you go on TikTok and everyone's saying like, oh yeah, if you do this, this and this, you have ADHD. And I genuinely convinced myself that I had ADHD. But having time off social media, like actually coming out of that space and just slowing down my life a little bit. Granted, like, I'm not saying that those people are wrong about ADHD. Like, some people do actually have ADHD. I could even have ADHD, I don't even know. But I just feel a massive difference in my sanity and just my life in general when I'm off social media, because I've got the time to think. We are not actually evolved yet to take in that much information that we can take in. There is so much information on everything out there. There is probably a solution to every single problem if you look hard enough for it. But sometimes we don't need the solution to things. Sometimes we just need to have a little bit of quiet time and more than likely find the solution within ourselves. I was on self-development TikTok, and I genuinely thought that that was a healthy way to be on TikTok because the videos were longer. They were like 3 to 5 minutes. I was really sitting and listening to the videos, and I just thought, wow, I am learning so much. This is great. But little did I know that it was actually just as redundant as it would be for me to just scroll through looking at 10-second videos, because I was listening to these 3-minute videos, but then I was just scrolling onto the next and then listening to self-help advice on a completely different topic, and I wasn't retaining any of this information. So I just felt so chaotic and so unhinged all the time because I just didn't get what was going on in my own mind. I wasn't retaining any of this information and I wasn't learning like I thought I was learning. The best solution and the best thing that I've done to create happiness and fulfillment in my own life is reading, slowing down and reading a book. I do love an audiobook every now and then, like say if I'm busy, if I'm cleaning, if I'm driving. I love an audiobook, but there is something about reading an actual book or reading on my Kindle that really makes me slow down and really makes me take in everything that I'm reading and retain it in a way that I would never do if I was listening to an audiobook or watching a TikTok or watching a YouTube video. I know everyone has different ways of learning though, so I must be a visual learner, I don't know. But there's just something about reading a book. You really have to slow down, and if you don't understand a sentence, you go back and reread it. Whereas if you're listening to an audiobook, it's easier to just kind of let it play and then pick up things that scream out to you. So all that to say, the lesson from that was that overstimulation is a silent killer, and a lot of us are just so used to it that we don't even know that it is actually a pandemic at this point. It affects us so much more than we think it does, and it can lead us into analysis paralysis, constant comparison, and it essentially puts us in a place where we are vicariously living through other people on social media, and we're not actually living our own lives, and we're not focusing on developing ourselves and growing as a person. We are just consuming content. So slowing down your life and not necessarily coming off social media, but just having a little bit of a break from it and reducing your screen time a little bit. You don't have to go cold turkey, because I know that social media is a way of life, and I know that a lot of people are on social media for their career and their job. I get it, but just having those moments, like say before bed, reading a book rather than scrolling on TikTok, that is just gonna allow you that space and that time to just relax and actually take in information that you can retain and that is valuable. It truly makes me feel so much happier and so much more fulfilled in my life when when I feel like I know what I'm talking about, when I feel like I'm educated and I've retained information and I can relay it in a way that other people can learn from. And the final lesson that I learned in terms of living a happy and fulfilled life for myself is that purpose is everything. Purpose is going to save you. If you don't have a purpose in your life and you don't have something that you're working towards, no wonder you're feeling sad. No wonder you're feeling depressed and miserable and like you've got nothing going for yourself. Naturally, as humans, we need purpose. We seek purpose. A lot of us convince ourselves that we just want a soft life and we just want to be rich and do nothing. I was watching the Tyson Fury documentary, and when the younger girl, the daughter, she was saying like, I just want to do nothing. Like, she was young, so fair enough. But she was saying, yeah, I just want to do nothing. But the reality is that if you actually were doing nothing with your life and you was just sitting on a beach, chilling, watching TikToks, doing whatever you do when you're chilling, you would inevitably get bored. I know that some people say that they wouldn't, but you would. You would get so bored. So it's like an innate thing. We are always seeking purpose and we're always seeking challenging activities and things for us to do in order for us to just feel better about ourselves and be a more credible human being. It just is what it is. But I genuinely, for the longest time, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had no direction. I was just living day by day and living for the weekend constantly because I didn't have a purpose. And I truly think that when I found my purpose, and it wasn't an overnight thing, it was a gradual process, but once I found my purpose and the thing that I really love doing, which is this, that was the moment that I truly started to feel this indescribable feeling of happiness and fulfillment. No matter what life throws at me, no matter what happens, there's been so many ups and downs of this year. There's been lots of trials and tribulations that I faced, don't get me wrong, and I have had my bad weeks, I've had my bad days, I've had ruts, all of that good stuff, but it doesn't feel like how it used to. And I can't explain that enough until you have actually experienced it and you've gone on this journey yourself and you've got to that place where you do feel happy and fulfilled. Having a purpose has truly made me show up in the world as a better person. Even in my 9-to-5 job now, I show up in such a different way. I have so much more energy. I feel like my aura shines so brightly. I feel so much happier because I've actually got something that I'm doing for myself that is fueling me, and it makes me feel good about myself. Even if I'm not getting any views or even if I don't get any subscribers, I truly feel like I've got a little cute project that I am so proud of and I absolutely love. So do not underestimate the importance of purpose and how that links to your happiness and fulfillment in your life. I do have so many other tips on happiness and fulfillment and how I've got to this place in my life, so I'm definitely going to be doing more videos on it because I could not fit everything into this video that I wanted to talk about. But these are just some of the lessons that I learned that I just thought was very important to share with you guys, because that's essentially, I guess, the starting point. It's not going to be an overnight thing. You're not just going to wake up tomorrow after watching this video and think, oh my god, I'm so happy and so fulfilled. It's an individual process and it's going to be different for every single person. But if I can share some of the things that I've learned with you guys so that you can kind of skip certain parts of the process that I had to go through, then I want to do that for you. I want to be able to share how I've got to the point that I am in now. I am truly so happy, and I think the word more so is grateful. I am so grateful for my life. Like, my heart bursts with gratitude every single day. I'm so grateful. I might not be living in my dream apartment, I might not be living in my dream city, I might not have all of the material things that I want, but I have finally gotten to a point where I genuinely feel so happy without all of that kind of stuff. I've learned how to focus on what I actually do have and express gratitude for everything that I do have, because I know that if I'm used to doing this now, if I'm used to expressing my gratitude and feeling these amazing feelings that I feel now, I'm going to be able to take that into my life when I have received all of the manifestations that I'm calling in, when I've gotten all the material things that I want. I know that I am priming myself and getting myself ready for that moment, and to avoid the situation where I was in Positano and feeling empty. So I hope this video helped you in some way. It's a lot longer than what I thought it was going to be. I really thought this was going to be a quick 10-minute video, but obviously not. Let me know if you guys are in this place at the minute where you're feeling stuck and miserable and unfulfilled and feeling like you don't even know what your purpose is, because that's a whole video in itself, which I will do for you guys if you want me to do that. If you want me to explain how I discovered my purpose, I am more than happy to go into that for you. So just let me know in the comments. And just generally, let me know how you're doing. Like, I feel like I've not spoken to you guys. If you want to chat, just comment down below and we can chat. I am here for you. I am your bestie. So any questions that you've got, just leave them down below, and I would be so happy to speak with you guys and just get to know you guys a little bit more. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next week.